Hi everyone, I'm Scott. This is my channel CineRam, and this is one in a series of short videos that I'm doing this week. I have learned that it's a good idea to do short movies covering one subject rather than a big long video covering multiple subjects, because if you mess up, you gotta do the whole thing all over again. I recently did a video on the new movies that I'd seen this year so far, one of them being the Shazam sequel, Shazam! Fury of the Gods, which I enjoyed. I thought it was fun. Didn't do great, I guess, at the box office. Not really my business, as long as, the movie's good. Anyway, I wanted to talk about a little more, because I was in Los Angeles to visit my brother. He is a camera operator. He works on commercials and music videos and short films and independent features when he can. He does the Steadicam operator. Basically, it's an apparatus that affixes to your body with a vest, and when you walk with it, if you control it properly, the camera doesn't bounce around when you move it. It's a very, very clever device. It was showcased to great effect in The Shining, the Kubrick film, and is very, very popular in feature films and television series. My brother will talk about films and shows that he's seen that make great use of the Steadicam. Most recently, The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. Talked a lot about that. Anyway, I was visiting him in March, and we went to see the film, and I particularly wanted to go see it there because we don't have any Screen X theaters in Chicago in this area. We had one at a certain point years ago. They showed The Maze Runner in the Screen X format, but nothing like this. Actually, back then it was called Barco Escape, but now it's called Screen X, and there are maybe 5 theaters in the Los Angeles theater that show movies in this format. And you're like, what is that? So Screen X basically is you have the main screen in front of you, and then you have the walls on either side in the theater that are white. An additional image is projected on the sides of the theater, so you get this sort of, an enveloping image around you. There was a process that was developed a few decades ago. I think it was in the 60s, called CineRam. That's actually where I got my channel name from. I just chopped the last A off to make CineRam. CineRam used 3 cameras filming simultaneously, and then they would project the film basically on a single curved screen, but the images would be, connected to each other, and it would sort of give you this view sort of all around you. If you were sitting in the right place, you could look to ahead of you, you'd look to the sides, to either side of you, and you'd get like this. It was great for, like westerns and things like that, with lots of great scenery. But it wasn't a very popular format to use because it was just so complicated to get working right. And if the projection was off by a little bit, or the films were slightly out of sync, it just, the effect would just be ruined. So Screen X is sort of like a contemporary version of that, except that it doesn't really work at all, unfortunately. I can't really recommend it as a viewing experience. If you go see something in IMAX, you get one image that's taller and probably a lot bigger than you would in a regular multiplex theater. Screen X is shown in a regular multiplex, but the the images are very, very clearly divided, and because the side images are on kind of an angle, it really makes sort of like an awkward image. I mean, it's demonstrated pretty well in the beginning before the film starts. They have a little demo saying, "This is Screen X, look at how spectacular it is," and you have all kinds of CGI flying all over the place. And that's fun, but it's kind of distracting in a film. I sort of liken it to watching The Dark Knight or The Dark Knight Rises when it was in IMAX, and the aspect ratio would constantly be changing, be like this most of the time, but then would open up for certain scenes or just one particular shot. And so this was kind of distracting, and so I can't really recommend it. I'm glad I saw it. I'm glad that I took the time to actually see it, because I'd never seen a Screen X movie before, and so now I know what it's like, and that it isn't recommended to go again, at least not for me anyway. It wasn't my thing. It was distracting. Anyway, I was in Los Angeles, like I said, to visit my bro. He had invited me out there because I recently had a birthday. I turned 50. And he said to me, "Hey, how would you like to come out to LA and hang out with me for a couple of days, and we'll go visit some locations where films that you like have been filmed. I mean, this is Los Angeles, you know. Lots of movies have been shot here over the years. Same with Chicago. I live in the Chicago area, and it's famous for having The Fugitive and The Dark Knight being shot here. But Los Angeles, of course, has a much more extensive film history. And so I started thinking about kind of the places that I'd like to go. And I came up with a list and looked up the addresses for where they shot. One of my favorite locations, of course, was the office building in Die Hard. That's a real office building. It's called something of the Stars, Freeway of the Stars or something like that. I can't remember exactly what the name of the building is. But of course, in Die Hard, it's called Nakatomi Plaza, and this is where most of the movie is set. One of the most famous office buildings in cinema history. And so I wanted to see that and take some pictures, and I wanted to see a location where they did the shootout in Heat, and I wanted to see where they had a particular chase scene from Terminator 2, and so I looked up all these places. IMDb was very helpful because they have sort of a production log where they actually identify addresses. You know, Tarantino movies have shot there, Training Day, The Usual Suspects, things like that. And so for 2 days we drove all over the city and took pictures of these locations where these movies were shot. And I put together a little photo album on Facebook, and I'll link to that in below if you'd like to see what that was like, because I had a great time with it. Of course it was lots of fun to hang out with my brother. It was really fun. Like I said, we went to see the film Shazam 2, and I got to see some of my other relatives. But that was sort of like the main point of the trip, was seeing like, this is where, you know, Robert De Niro and Al Pacino were shooting it out in Heat. And here's where the tow truck crashed into the canal in Terminator 2. And here's where this happened and that happened from this movie. Lots of fun. I had a great time, and we had a great time just hanging out and driving around. So I wanted to share those photos with you if you'd care to see them. So the link to that hopefully will be in the description below. Obviously, it's something that obviously most of you on here are probably not Facebook friends with me, but you should be able to access the photo album because I don't restrict the photos in that way. Anyway, just want to tell you a little bit about that, and I had a great time, and I hope you enjoyed those pictures. And I'll see you in the next video. Later.